Our Earth is covered by 13.4 billion hectares of land. Farmers around the world cultivate 5 billion hectares of this, and today they feed more than 7 billion people. But we face enormous challenges as the population grows. By the middle of the century, there will be nearly 10 billion people living off the products of agriculture. Seeding technology, crop protection, and harvesting technology, the three most important pillars of our nutrition. And Fend has the answers to these challenges.
Und damit begrüße ich Sie, liebe Zuschauerinnen und Zuschauer.
Hello and welcome to the Fendt Spotlight Weeks from the Global Forum in Markt Oberdorf. Behind me, you see our giants. They are our response to the greatest challenges in worldwide agriculture. Join us on an agricultural journey starting with the IDEAL, the Rogator and the MOMENTUM.
Let's go on a journey around the globe. From north to south, from east to west, from freezing cold to scorching heat, from the breadbasket of America to the wheat belt down under, from sowing to harvesting. Our first destination, Western Canada. More precisely, the prairie states of Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba. One of the most important agricultural regions in the world. The climatic challenges are massive. Long, extreme winters and short, hot summers demand high efficiency in sowing and harvesting. Then, on to the Midwest of the USA, the breadbasket of the nation, producing the largest amount of maize and soybeans in the world. The climatic conditions are nearly perfect. But the high risk of severe weather is a challenge for the country. The consequence? Enormous crop failures and thus effects on the global grain market. Our journey now takes us to the most populous country in South America. Between Sugarloaf Mountain, endless pampas and rainforest, Brazil is the fifth largest country in the world and is considered the world's breadwinner. But harvesting close to the equator is a real challenge. High temperatures and immense rainfall in a short time. From sowing to harvesting, everything has to happen in quick succession. Now let's cross the Atlantic and land in the middle of Europe. In several Central European countries, there is a very broad crop rotation with an enormously long harvest. Winter barley, winter oilseed rape, winter wheat, sunflower, grain maize, and soybeans dominate the farmland. A few hours' flight further, South Africa has excellent conditions for agriculture. The prerequisite, supplementary irrigation, because water is scarce in South Africa. But with irrigation, impressive yields of over 25 tons of maize or 6 tons of soybeans per hectare are achieved. The last stop on our journey, Australia. As the summers are far too hot, Australians usually sow their crops in winter. Harvesting then takes place when the heat is increasing. It has to be quick before the temperature rises again up to 50 degrees Celsius. Always on the job, our giants of agricultural technology, built to overcome the most difficult challenges around the world, built to feed the world, today and tomorrow.
The images in the film were really impressive. Now I'd like to go into more detail. So I have an expert here, Andreas Möller. Hi, Andreas. Glad you're here.
Hello, Christiana. Thank you.
We're standing here with the Momentum planter. What was your focus in its development?
Yes, Christiana. It's really a very special machine we have here. And what makes it so special is also the approach to the development. We concentrated on the challenges for farmers in the fields around the world, and especially the agronomic topics. Here we're talking about a single-grain precision planting machine. Precision is in the name, meaning that this is a special aspect. We want the most even crop establishment possible, whilst avoiding things like soil compaction, which can be detrimental to plant emergence. And lastly, due to the size of fields farmers have to cover, it's always about efficiency and productivity. We have to ensure these immense areas can be planted as quickly and efficiently as possible. And the result of this development is the Momentum. I think you can see this as an awesome machine just by looking at it.
You're right, of course. Sounds like there are a lot of technical details. Show me what it can do.
Yes, I'll start with the seed spacing. Here we use a seeding assembly from Precision Planting, a brand affiliated with the AGCO Group. It is possible for us to achieve a seed placement with an accuracy of more than 99%. This means that every plant has the same available space to develop and grow. So, we are laying a cornerstone for the plant being able to reach its full yield potential.
What else is important during sowing?
Yes, another significant aspect, as we said at the beginning, is an even crop emergence. And of course, the seed always being sown at the same depth is important for that to happen. And then you have the fields. The images sometimes show huge areas, and you never have exactly the same soil conditions. That means you have sandy areas, but maybe only a brow that is rocky. And you still have to make sure the disc always reaches the same depth. That means you have to either actively apply weight to the disc if it is rocky and the soil is heavier, or release pressure if it is sandy where the machine would otherwise sink under its own weight. How do we do that? We have a hydraulic cylinder on every row unit. We call it Delta Downforce, and with this, the machine automatically regulates the disc pressure, so a constant sowing depth is guaranteed.
It sounds like the disc pressure plays a big role.
Exactly. It's one of the decisive factors. Now, the fields are never totally flat. That means that we also have to be in a position to compensate for hills and irregularities in the field. And how do we do that? We've solved that here in a really special way. We have a divided toolbar, meaning a primary and secondary. And we're in a position to adjust the secondary toolbar in height using the hydraulic cylinders, so that every disc on the machine always has the necessary ground contact over the entire working width. And this machine is an example of this, as we can compensate for height over the entire working width up to an incredible 1.65 meters. That's really unique for a single-grain precision planting machine.
Yes, unique. That's also my next point. And in the rear, two tires run one after the other. Can you explain to me why that is?
Yes, gladly. I'd suggest we move around, just because we can see better from the front. What I showed was our inline tandem. Inline, you see two tires running in a row, a larger one in the back, a somewhat smaller one in the front. And why do we do that? There are many reasons. Firstly, you see how we achieve a relatively large footprint with both tires. In principle, that means that we have the same footprint as a tracked vehicle. At the same time, we have the positive features of a tire. For example, the driving comfort is much better when driving on the road. But that is merely one aspect. It's really a topic where many things mesh together. You see that here, the tires run perfectly in the track of the tractor. That means I only have one track where there is compaction. The next thing is that I have a calculation for each tire of how much load is on it. And I have a control valve and a tire pressure control system, which is also unique in a single-grain precision planting machine. And I can achieve a maximum footprint and minimum soil pressure, also dependent on the fill level of both tanks. But that's not enough. We also have this cylinder here that you can see behind you, and that is our weight management. This means we can actively transfer weight from the center of the machine to the outer tires to achieve the most even weight distribution possible over the entire working width. Here we're talking about balanced mode, but it's also possible to remove weight, like the row unit. But when would I do that? It's really useful in a controlled traffic system where I really only want compaction in the traffic lane. This is where this feature is really useful. With the weight management, we are unique and can really push these agronomic advantages for the customers into the forefront.
And this big tank is another highlight, right?
Exactly. We're talking about the seed tanks, with a volume of 4,580 liters in the back and the liquid fertilizer tank of 3,785 liters in the front. These large tanks mean we don't have to stop so often, increasing output and reducing idle time whilst refilling and so on. This makes this planter especially beneficial to the customer.
It sounds like every part of the design interlocks.
Yes, that's right. So at the beginning, we talked about this aspect of development and where the focus lies. And it's true, each aspect of the design interlocks with the next. But not just in the machine. We aren't thinking merely of the machine, but the entire unit, along with the tractor. Here we see a 900 Vario on the front, and at the back there is the next level of single-grain precision planting machine, where the driver is always in a position to achieve a good result, combined with a tractor that offers the best comfort, best driver workspace, and intuitive control. That means we really have the perfect pairing here.
That sounds really good, Andreas. Let's see how perfectly the pairing of tractor and momentum works by looking at a farm in Brazil.
É equipamento espetacular. O trator, indiscutível, a plantadeira também. Ela entregou o que nós está precisando, o que nós pedimos, ela entregou. Ela está tendo rendimento, nós estamos trabalhando no plantio do milho agora. Bom, a plantadeira, nós plantamos o algodão com ela, com bateria de adubo, 190 quilos na base. Ela foi perfeitamente, o sistema de vácuo dela, do sistema de adubo, excelente. O que foi pedido, ela entregou para nós. O trator e a plantadeira são um casamento perfeito, é indiscutível. A distribuição dela, perfeitamente. O sistema de cooperação do terreno dela, a distribuição em si, ela é muito ágil, rendimento excepcional. Nós trabalhamos aí, ela chegou a entregar para nós 160 hectares em 10 horas trabalhado. A agilidade dela em transporte, deslocamento de um talhão para o outro, como nós temos umas áreas muito longe, ela desloca muito rápido, envolve só o operador, mão de obra, só o operador mesmo. Eu tô apaixonado pelo equipamento. O trator e a plantadeira é excepcional. Atendeu a nossa necessidade aqui no campo. Agilidade, rendimento, performance, tudo certo dela. Ela dá orgulho de você vir na roça aqui e olhar ela plantando. É agilidade. É o que nós procuramos no campo hoje, é agilidade com rendimento e qualidade. Qualidade no plantio, né? Porque o plantio é tudo, começa tudo pelo plantio.
It all starts with sowing. But in the next step, it's important to protect the plant once it has started to grow. Pests and pathogens threaten farmers' harvests around the world, so it's vitally important to keep development going here. AGCO has over 20 years of experience in plant protection. The Rogator has now been redesigned and was relaunched in the USA last year. So we're celebrating a premiere because the Rogator 900 is in Markt Oberdorf for the first time.
Hi, Christiana.
Hi, Gerrit. Glad you're here. There was great anticipation here before it arrived, right?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely right. I mean, the Fendt Rogator is built in Jackson in the USA. Then we shipped it here to Belgium, and from Belgium, brought it to Markt Oberdorf to the Fendt Global Forum.
And let's have a look now at the journey of the Fendt Rogator 900 from Antwerp to us here in Allgäu.
We have a special sprayer on today, a bit bigger than normal at 4.5 meters width. You don't drive around with something that big every day, but we'll manage. We're now only allowed to stand in the car park and have to wait until 9 p.m. tonight. From then on, we're allowed to drive according to the permit.
While
the Rogator takes a little break at a rest stop in Rhineland-Palatinate, I'd like to talk to Gerrit about the machine. What's so special about the Rogator?
Well, the special thing about our Rogator is, it is the machine for professionals. And our customers are all professionals. The machine is used worldwide. That means in North America, Canada, Brazil, and South America. And for that reason, because we have a professional machine here, 3 words come to mind, and they are power, flexibility, and above all, comfort.
I'll just jump right in with power. Is that the thing we need in the Rogator?
Oh yes, power is extremely important. I mean, we can see it. We can just walk under the machine. We can lift the Rogator up to 2 meters above the ground. This means that the machine grows with our plants, so to speak. We are also flexible throughout the year with regard to plant protection and fertilizing.
Wait, fertilizing. I see a plant protection nozzle, but you've left something out.
Now is where we come to the flexibility. We don't have just one nozzle here. We can convert the Rogator into a fertilizer spreader within 2 hours, meaning either attaching a centrifugal spreader or a pneumatic fertilizer spreader. In spring, when plant growth accelerates, first you apply fertilizer and then spray for the first time. When the plants are higher, just like our Rogator, we can then fertilize and spray again in the late growth stage. So we are flexible throughout the year.
Okay, wow. That means that I spend most of my year on the Rogator. So it's like a second home, is it?
Yes, indeed, a second home. So it needs to be comfortable. Let's look up top, shall we?
Absolutely. I'm coming with you. Oh, that's high. Thank you. Yes, really comfortable in here, Garrett. I could spend a couple of hours in here.
Just like you said, a home away from home. The trusted cab of the 700 Vario that we built into the Rogator. And what do you see in front? The bonnet of the 900 Vario, produced in Bäumenheim. And what you already have in your hand is the classic Fendt joystick, the Fendt self-driver. So now a real Fendt product. You can really deal with long working days.
Yes, you really know long working days, don't you, Garrett? When the Rogator arrived here in Markt Oberdorf, you were here really early. And let's have a look at your impressions.
In Germany, now we'll only drive on the Autobahn, except for the last few kilometers of country roads, but we're not allowed to drive on any off-trails, so it's not such a nice tour of Belgium. And we'll only drive on the Autobahn in Germany, but it'll be much calmer and more relaxed. I've got to say that I arrived here in my car this morning when it was still dark. I was overwhelmed. And I thought to myself, how big is this thing? I've only seen it in videos from the internet. And now that I'm seeing it for the first time, live and in real life here in Markt Oberdorf, and I really thought to myself, wow, this is a huge machine, and I think it has real potential for our farmers worldwide. I mean, you never see anything like that in Allgäu. And we're really excited about where the journey with the machine is going to take us. I think we have found a cool new Fendt product.
With the Rogator, we now have a really new, cool product in the line. It complements the Momentum and the Fendt IDEAL combine harvester perfectly.
The landscape of agriculture has really changed and is continuing to change, and we need to be able to adapt with that. So our goal is to add value to every facet of our operation. Well, my name is Richard Roach. I'm from Monticello, Indiana. I have the honor of farming with my father and brother-in-law. The 6th generation here on this land. Our business name is RAKR Farms. We always call it Raker. We raise corn, soybeans, a little bit of wheat. We have hogs and cattle as well. And then most recently, we built a renewable energy facility that we call Waste No Energy LLC. And that is just an anaerobic digester where we produce electricity from food waste and our manures. We process about 35,000 gallons a day. Of that, roughly 5,000 is our manures, with the balance being food waste. We're creating a sustainable power production source for our community. We produce 1 meg of energy, which is about enough to power 940 homes in our community. and then the byproduct, the effluent, is then used as a major fertilizer source for our crops. It's just that circular motion of using the effluent to grow the crops to feed the livestock, use the manure from the livestock to put back in the digester to create electricity, and thus more fertilizer to grow the crops again, and just start that process all over. So it's a different form of vertical integration with the end goal of adding value back to everything that we're doing and not having a waste. Obviously, a combine is a huge capital investment, and it's a very crucial and important tool, although it's only in operation for 3 months at most out of the year. We always historically had one red combine and one green combine, and we felt that that was a good way to kind of spread the risk a little bit and capture the benefits of both machines. That's a huge capital investment to have 2 machines, 2 headers of each type, and things like that. And we're trying to do more with less. We made the decision to go from a 2 combine operation to trying to push everything through 1 machine. There were existing machines that had the throughput capacity that we were looking for, but they did not have the grain handling capacity. There were machines that had the grain handling capacity, but did not have the throughput capacity, and that kind of led us to Fendt. It had the grain tank size, the unload auger speed, where we could run just 1 auger cart in a 3/8 mile field. We can get 2 full hoppers and unloading on the go and have a full auger cart, which equates to a full semi. It's just those little things in our analysis that make a huge difference. We looked at fuel savings because we felt like we would be able to complete harvest over the same number of acres in fewer hours. We were pretty close in our modeling, and they came through as advertised. So the risk there with the Fendt was it was a brand new machine, and we knew that was going to come with some growing pains. But with the Gold Star program and the zero maintenance expenses for the first 3 years, you start to level that playing field pretty quickly. All machines have the ability to do the same job given the right operator, the right settings. The difference is how fast can they do that job at that same level. And that's where we felt like the Fendt could separate itself in the fact that it could do it at the rate we needed to maximize the rest of our infrastructure.
And that's what I'm standing in front of now, before our black force, the Fendt IDEAL. Product expert Luca Lang is here with me.
Hi, Christiane.
Nice to see you. Where is the Fendt IDEAL used?
Our IDEAL is running all over the world. In Europe, as a tractor wheeled machine, optionally also with slope compensation, or overseas on massive fields, even with dual wheels. There our IDEAL is fed by headers with working widths up to 15 meters, or by corn headers up to 16 rows wide. With our IDEAL, contractors and farmers can thresh nearly anything, from regular types of grain such as wheat and barley to crops such as corn, soybeans, rapeseed, and even special crops such as clover or grass. You could say our IDEAL is always threshing somewhere. If threshing isn't happening here in Europe, then it usually is in other countries such as North and South America, Africa, or Australia.
Wow, that sounds good. Can you tell me about the technical special features of the IDEAL?
The centerpiece is our long rotors, the longest rotors on the market. And with their special shape, they are very energy efficient and very gentle on the harvest crop. We have a very clean sample in the grain tank in combination with our cleaning system. Livestock operations particularly like how gentle the IDEAL is on the straw, leaving the straw nice and long, which is perfect for baling.
So, starting right off with a grain tank, we can see that above. It looks pretty imposing to me. What can you say about that?
We have one of the largest grain tanks on the market, 17,100 liters, and a transfer rate of 210 liters per second. It's completely emptied in just 80 seconds at an average bushel weight, 13 tons unloaded to the tractor and trailer in about 1.5 minutes. That saves an immense amount of time.
Luca, I've seen something else here. The track units. When would I use them?
Exactly. Our tracks are not only an eye-catcher, but very gentle on the soil because of their large footprint. Here we have mounted 30-inch tracks, so 76 centimeters wide. So for the European market, they are still under 3.5 meters exterior width. Our tracked vehicles have an extremely high driving comfort, not only in the field, but also on the road.
Driver comfort is the next key word. I was just with Gerrit on the Rogator and I really liked it. We also spent many hours in the combine harvester. Is it just as comfortable as the Rogator?
Of course. Let's go up and have a look.
Thank you. Oh, I feel right at home here. It looks like the Rogator.
Exactly. We use the same operating concept on all Fendt self-propelled vehicles. So for the IDEAL, the Rogator and the Katana. As an option, with the IDEAL drive, the steering wheel can be replaced by a joystick, which is positioned in the left armrest.
Does that mean that the steering column I see here wouldn't be here anymore?
Exactly. So you have a better view to the front and an even better view of the cutter bar and the intake auger. So an even more relaxing work environment on extremely long harvest days.
Super, Luca. Thank you for your demonstration. It was really interesting.
My pleasure.
We've talked so much about our giant machines. Now we want to see them in action. Come with me on a trip around the world to be amazed by our heroes of agricultural technology, the IDEAL, MOMENTUM, and Rogator. I'm completely bowled over by our 3 gigantic machines. Big thanks for the presentations to Andreas, Gerrit and Luca. So goodbye from us at the Global Forum in Marktoberdorf.